Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer By, a Star Trek podcast.
Nice.
My name is Jake and I'm joined by...
the deeply calm and logical Chris.
Ames!
Caitlin! Boo! 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 Boo!
Anyway, today we're talking about 2 episodes of Star Trek The Enterprise, Part 4, Season whatever.
Season
and
10.
Those episodes are The Forge, not to be confused with La Forge.
Every time they said it, I was like, Jordy? No.
Which was the episode's title in France. And Awakening, not to be confused with anything else other than this episode. So, anyway, and these are the first 2 parts of a 3-parter, so I'm going to combine the summary at the front here. And
Enterprise loves their 3-parters.
They certainly do.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, well, I think there's a big staff changeover in season 4,
True.
so new writers, new tricks.
Forget all of season 3, thank God.
Yes. So anyway, so what happens? So we open up, we have an Admiral's log from our old friend Admiral Forrest, who I'm sure we'll see in many future episodes doing wonderful things. And he is telling us about how he's on Vulcan at this big summit that's happening at the Earth Embassy on Vulcan, which is like this weird pyramid building thing. And he's out there and he's hanging out at the embassy. He's with his old boy, Soval, our friend Soval, ambassador, who's a piece of shit most of the time, dickhead. And they're talking to each other, and Soval's basically telling Forrest how much he thinks humans suck. You guys really suck. But, you remind me of me.
Because I suck.
Because I also suck. And they agree that they all suck. And Forrest is a little sad about this, but then he hears an explosion that sounds pretty far away. But no, it turns out it's literally them exploding. So Forrest leaps onto Soval, saving him from this bomb, but heroically sacrificing himself. R.I.P. Admiral Forrest.
Poor Forrest. We'll never see that actor again.
So, yeah, well, no, we will. Because he's in everything.
Yes. We do see him later.
Back on, cut to Enterprise. We're playing b-ball outside of the school when a couple of guys who were up to no good started blowing up embassies in our Vulcan hood.
It was good, Jake. Well done.
That was nice. I enjoyed that.
You
I got one little fight, and Phlox got scared and said, "You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Vulcan."
You're great.
That's good. Let's just call it an episode. Just jump to the bloodtivity.
So the b-ball game had nothing to do with the episode. I just mentioned it because it existed. Anyway, we get the news and we get sent to Vulcan to kind of find out what's going on. And we meet Ambassador Layton, or High Commander Admiral Layton, who is also Vulcan.
That guy.
Always an asshole, this guy.
Yeah, exactly. So basically he's the same character, FYI. We got the same actor that played Admiral Layton in Paradise Lost and Apocalypse Rising.
Homefront.
Was that Homefront, that's right. Apocalypse Rising was the other one. Yeah, Homefront and Paradise Lost. And he's basically doing the same thing here. He's like, he's a big shot at a Vulcan. He's kind of a dickhead, but all Vulcans are dickheads. And he basically is like, yeah, we're checking out this bombing that happened. And we analyzed the bomb, and we found this DNA on it, and it belongs to this lady, T'Pau.
Let's send Reed and Mayweather in to blow up. Oh, no, they survived.
Yeah. So they find this bomb. They find the DNA on it belongs to this lady, T'Pau, who we will remember because she also presided over the wedding of Spock and T'Pring.
Yeah, she looks like kind of young for how old she is in that, doesn't she?
Well, it's 100
they said she's
years
like
later.
32 or something, right? They said she's like in her 30s, so she's
and how
very
many years
young.
away is this?
100-ish?
No, there's no way. She's not that same old wrinkled bitch. Okay, that's funny, because I was like, isn't that the old woman?
Yep.
Yeah.
But there's no way that's her. There's not...
No, because she'd be about 110 40, 150, which for a Vulcan is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, but she shouldn't look that old. I think,
but she looks like about 6,000 in Amok time.
But now,
that's my
She's been out in the forge, though.
Exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah, she's that's a hard 100 years.
And all that crack, you know.
But yeah, and is she also the one that does the transference of the Katra back into Spock from McCoy?
I don't think so, because I didn't see any reference.
I thought that was a guy.
No, it's a woman.
All right, then I just don't remember.
Anywho, so yeah, this is T'Pau, or we assume it's the same T'Pau
Could be a family
that we
name.
met back in Amok time. And they're like, yeah, she's a known terror. She's a member of this group of religious fanatics called the Sirenites, who are like these Vulcan fundamentalists who are like follow this very strict interpretation of Surak's teachings.
They sound a blast at parties, don't they?
Oh, big time, big time. So Archer's like, well, she killed my friend, so I'm going to go out and find her in the desert. So he and T'Pol do go to this place in the Vulcan desert called the Forge, which is like the worst place in the universe because there's like electrical lightning, sandstorms. There's Salots running around biting things.
Electrical lightning Salots.
There's strange men. It's just it's a weird place.
Strange men.
As long as it's not Vorik.
And also there's like all of this there's all this like gravitational magnetic interference, so you can't beam in. You have to beam outside and then walk the rest of the way through all this shit.
Of course.
So they're doing this trek through the Forge, and they can't talk to Enterprise or anybody. Meanwhile, on Enterprise, while T'Pol and Archer are on their way to this try to find T'Pau
and Tamami,
Phlox does himself a little investigating and finds that the DNA found on the bomb is only like from a child that's like months old.
Baby bomber.
Which it turns out that the Vulcans they have every Vulcan's DNA because they take your DNA at birth basically and then add it to the database.
I broke Chris. I'm very proud.
They dropped that tidbit earlier in the show. But anyway, so it's like, so this wasn't a recent T'Pau who we know is in her 30s. This is baby T'Pau that somebody has framed her by putting the DNA from the baby on the bomb.
I blame Andorians.
Time Daddy took baby T'Pau and sent her to bring the bomb.
There you go.
Yes, I buy all of this.
So now we know the jig's up.
And can we prove it?
The only person who could possibly prove it is the guard from the embassy who saw the person who planted the bomb, except he's in a coma. So Trip and Mayweather are like, hey, can you wake this guy up so we can ask him some questions? And Phlox is like, no, he'll die. And they're like, can you please do it? And Phlox is like,
any other day I would.
Unethical shit? Now you have my attention. But they're like, no, we have a totally different unethical thing we want to do. And that is to find some crazy Vulcan who's would come here and do a mind meld, even though it's totally not cool on Vulcan to do mind melds. And so they go to Saval and they're like, hey, Saval, we need to find somebody who can do a mind meld. And he's like, are you fucking crazy? No. And they're like, please? And he's like, okay, fine. I can totally do a mind meld, and I love it.
You deviant Saval.
So Saval mind melds with the coma guy, and he sees who planted the bomb, and oh my god, it turns out it's the guy from fucking Red Squad. It's Admiral Layton's assistant. It's Captain Bentine. It's the fucking assistant to the investigator.
Stell.
Yeah. And it's just some guy. And they're like, oh my god, so it's a huge conspiracy. It goes all the way to the top levels. And then Admiral Layton's like, how did you get this information? And they're like, well, Saval did a mind meld. And he's like, well, that's fucking bullshit. You can't do mind melds. You know what? You're fucking fired, Saval. Oh, and guess what? Yeah, that guy who you saw in the mind meld, yeah, you were right. He did plant the bomb, but guess what? He's one of the terrorists. So we fired his ass too.
Straight
Problem
under the
solved.
bus.
So we send everybody out to the so anyway, so they're like, okay, now Enterprise, you're not needed here anymore. Your work here is done. Thanks a lot. Fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
But turns out that Admiral Layton is actually a bad guy.
What?
Because what he wants to do is he wants to wipe out the Sirenites. So he's planning to blow up the Forge, basically. But he doesn't want to do it while Enterprise is there because then they'll see his shame. So he's trying to get them to leave. Meanwhile, they refuse to leave because what they know and Admiral Layton doesn't know is that T'Pol and Archer are on the planet. But eventually, Layton starts firing on Enterprise, which is not cool. So Saval is like, we should just fucking go because this guy's a dickhead. So they do. They leave. Meanwhile, on the planet, Archer and T'Pol have been wandering the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, and they find this dude,
Aerith.
It sounded like they're saying Arab the whole time. It's a Rev, I guess, but he's a guy who's also apparently on this pilgrimage, and he's a little skeptical of Archer because he's like, what's the fucking human doing here? This is no place for you. But Archer's like, I really want to go to this fucking sanctuary and walk the path of Surak. And he's like, fine, cool, you can hang with me for a bit. But then the sandstorm comes in and they hide in this cave. And while they're hiding in the cave, a Rev gets electrocuted by lightning and dies. But just before he dies, he beams his Katra into Archer, McCoy style.
Dick.
So then Archer is like wandering the desert and all of a sudden he knows where everything is. Oh, and by the way, we find out that Katras are kind of legendary. Like T'Pol's like, it's just bullshit that the Sirenites made up.
Like real. Time travel.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
But suddenly Archer knows all this crazy Vulcan shit, like exactly where the Sirenites' base is and how to enter it through their holographic door.
Yeah, that was big Harry Potter vibes, that was.
Yeah, so he does. They get there, they get arrested, and then the Sirenites are like, what are you fucking doing here? Oh, and T'Pol's mom is there because it turns out she is a Sirenite. Actually, I missed that whole thing. The whole reason they even knew where the Sirenites were was because T'Pol's mom secretly sent her this necklace that had a map hidden in it through her husband. Long story.
Big Mario, Super Mario 3 vibes. Like, I'm enclosing a jewel that will protect you.
Yeah, there you go. So
that's where part 1 ends. Do you want to synopsize part 2 and we'll do it all as one thing, or?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Great,
yeah.
do it.
That's why I did the whole. That's why I did the whole enterprise. That's why I did the whole enterprise plot first.
Yeah, he's doing A and B.
Yeah, so now
we
we're
didn't
captured.
Get to the Andorians.
T'Pau is there, and she's like, you know what? These people are probably spies because they're Starfleet and they work for the enemy, which is Admiral Layton. And then Archer's like, man, I really think fucking a Rev did something to me, and so they mind meld him, and they're like, holy shit. You got some Surak up in your peanut butter. So it turns out a Rev wasn't a Rev. He was Siren, the titular Sirenite.
Wow.
And he was the leader of the Sirenites. He's dead, but he was carrying around in his brain of his Surak's Katra the whole time. And because he was going to die, he just gave it to Archer. Really, because Archer was the only person there. Because T'Pol was already knocked out by electricity.
The Sellet was around.
That's true. It could have put it in the Sellet. That would have been nice. So they're like, okay, well, you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to extract it. We're going to have to do the old suck out the thing. But Surak doesn't want to. Surak appears to Archer a couple times and shows him like, here, look at how fucked up our society was. We nuked ourselves. And there's like a very overt reference to Romulans, like the ones that fly under the Raptor's wings or some shit. So
I get it.
Kind of cool. Some cool deep Vulcan lore there. Anyway, end of the day, we caught up with Admiral Layton, who starts bombing them. But Archer's like, hey, there's this really important artifact, and I know where it is. It's in this crypt. So Archer and T'Pol and T'Pau go into this crypt to find this artifact. And all the other Sirenites are like, okay, well, we're going to escape to safety while you guys get yourselves killed in the crypt. And holy shit, Uno reverse, all the Sirenites get killed, and the ones that went to certain death in the crypt survive, including T'Pol's mom. Sad.
No, to mommy.
Mommy dies, but we get the artifact, and that's basically the end of the stuff that happens in this episode, except for in the very last moment, just before the credits roll, they put 3 and 6 together and determine the Enterprise crew. This is puts 2 and 2 together and determines that, oh my god, this whole thing was a ruse to drum up support for an invasion of Andoria. So we know what we're gonna do. We gotta get ourselves to Andoria and warn them, and hopefully get ourselves some Shran action next week.
Shraction.
Okay, so I get that the new guy there, Ames said a few weeks ago, was like, wanted to make all these connections to TOS.
New guy? Oh, Manny Koto.
Yeah, and like, fine, but if Siren had a code name, T'Pau could have had a code name.
Oh, and then they could reveal it later that it was.
Yeah, because like
T'Pau.
knowing from the off that it's T'Pau is like, well, these are obviously not the bad guys then.
I think that's the biggest issue I have with this episode is it makes all of the high command bad, and it makes all the Sirenites good.
Well,
and it's,
we haven't gotten to part 3. We don't know. I honestly
we don't know.
remember.
That's true.
But there are already some guys who are like, Admiral Velas is kind of going crazy.
But they
like,
do nothing about it. Like,
right, I'm sure.
Velas can do whatever the fuck he wants, even though I'm never quite sure what his motivation is. Now it seems to be he wants to just kill Andorians, which, okay, at least we know that now.
I think he wants to kill Andorians. I don't know. This seems like this scheme is very convoluted because I'm still not sure I understand how it gets from the Sirenites bombing the Earth embassy to let's invade Andoria.
Well, they had to throw the Sirenites under the bus because they're known pacifists who would like oppose going to Andoria, but because they're pacifists, they bombed an embassy, which doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, I'm very lost. If I didn't know TOS shit, I wouldn't get a lot of the implications of these episodes.
It's Velas tapping into the part of the Vulcan mind that the Romulans just fully embraced. Needlessly convoluted plans that do not make sense the split second you give them any thought.
Yes.
It's more proof that they are related.
Is this the first that we've actually gotten a concrete date when Romulus split off?
Yeah, I think so, because I always had assumed it was way, way, way earlier.
Yeah, and they say Surak was doing his thing 1,800 years ago. Very Jesus of him, son of a bitch. And that seems very recent for them to have no knowledge of Romulans afterwards.
It sounds like the whole society was basically wiped out at that point. Like there was almost nothing left.
Okay, that's great.
So records, even Surak's writings from that time, they say were completely lost. So it was all like
until Archer,
tradition, gospels.
Savior Archer comes along, doing his best impression of Cisco.
Yes, Archer,
I'm not your culture,
Messiah.
but I will save you. Fuck you, Archer. Fuck you.
And at least it turned out Ben was of Bajor. He just didn't know it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but Archer, like, literally becoming the second coming of Surak here is...
It should have been T'Pau, because she's not a believer. Come on!
Yeah. Well, I think that's the role it seems to be suggesting that that's the role that she's going to assume. But, like, for now...
T'Pau?
No, T'Pau.
Oh, T'Pau.
That T'Pau is going to assume that Messiah role.
I mean,
that's fine, but I think instead of Archer getting the Katra, it should have been T'Pau.
Yeah.
Well, T'Pau, but they conveniently knocked her out with lightning.
They could have knocked Archer out with lightning.
This is to help explain, like, why Vulcans and humans are so tight. Like, a human helped them resurrect Surak and fix their culture. And what I do feel like with this plot is, like... Because I very vaguely remember when this show first came out, but I do feel like a lot of the complaint at the time was people were like, what's with the Vulcans in this?
Yeah.
And I feel like
Manny Coda was specifically trying to fix that with this three-parter.
Yeah, so he's just making explicit this sort of what had been kind of implicit before, that, like, there's just something wrong at the top. And he's like, yeah, no, it was just all these guys ruining everything. Here's TOS Vulcans. Here. Like, literally, here's T'Pau.
Yeah. Yeah, and also salvaging Soval's character in a lot of ways here.
Yeah.
Just because, like, he's just been an antagonist from the beginning. At worst, he was, like, hindering, interfering or trying to interfere with the stuff that Starfleet wanted to do.
Really, just Archer.
And at best, he was just, like, being judgy all the time. But now it's like, oh, no, he's actually secretly a good guy and supports Earth. And, oh, he's also, like, kind of he's a deviant. He does the mind meld.
He had some great lines these episodes. I think he's talking with Trip at some point, saying, like, oh, yeah, I've got a soft spot for Earthlings. I lived there for 30 years, and, I like them. And Trip's like, wow, you could have fooled me. And his response is, thank you. And I'm like, that's good. Okay. And that's great for you. I like that.
Well, and it's, reframing it more as just like, you remind me so much of us, and that's kind of frightening because I know what we're capable of. Makes some of his stuff make sense. It's like, when your parents say you'll get it when you're older, and it's not always true. There's things my parents said I would get when I was older that, no, I'm 40 now, I still don't get it. But there are some things where I'm just like, yeah, no. Like, some things your older self realizes, like, you're like, yeah, no, they had a point. And, he's just kind of like I've been there already. So, but you're just not listening. And so you kind of get that perspective. You're like, yeah, I get it. You're still kind of a prick about it, but I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, at one point he says something along the lines of, after our, World War III moment where we basically destroyed ourselves, it took us centuries to rebuild and become the society we are today, but Earth did it in under a century. And I'm thinking, yeah, but Earth had the fucking Vulcans there.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
If the Vulcans were on Vulcan at that time, I'm sure you would have rebuilt a lot faster too.
Yeah, if like the Vulcans blew themselves up and then, I don't know, a Ferengi fell from the sky, that's a very different timeline, and I kind of want to write that.
Well, we got fanfics coming up, Chris.
Shit.
I think the Vulcans
You should have picked Jeffrey Combs as a Ferengi.
That hasn't happened yet, Caitlin.
Yeah, despite...
Wait, I thought that they said that he played a Ferengi in...
No,
we haven't done our picks yet.
We haven't picked our...
Oh, fuck! Wow. All right.
Temporal Cold War.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Speaking, okay, so in that case, if we're doing, you'll get it when you're older, here's a question. If people aren't really familiar with, like, TOS, how followable are these episodes?
Well, you don't have the T'Pau problem we had.
Yeah, of knowing already, she's significant, we already know where she's going.
Or being distracted by how young she is.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. I think these episodes work very well.
Yeah.
On their own. I don't think, I think if anything, the fact that it's T'Pau is a fan wank that wasn't even necessary.
Yeah, I see all the time people run up against I'm introducing a friend of mine to Star Trek. What order should I watch in? Because, I'm tempted to watch in chronological order in world and start with Enterprise and then go to TOS and then go to TNG and do the thing. And I always wonder, references like this will go way over a person's head if they haven't gotten the context for, who T'Pau is, what a Katra is, what a mind meld is.
Well, no, because they explain what a Katra is in the show, in this episode. They explain it. So yeah, if you hadn't seen Star Trek 3, you might not
The Wrath of Spock
quite get it, but you would get it pretty quickly, I think. A, it's explained, and then B, they literally show us how it works.
Okay.
Even more explicitly than how they did in Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just thinking the T'Pau stuff specifically then.
Yeah, but again, and I think that works whether or not you know what T'Pau is, because all you need to know about T'Pau is she's a young revolutionary leader. Yeah, basically.
Like I said, I mean, for someone coming in fresh, it's better because you don't know that she has plot armor. You don't know that she has to survive. Her side has to win, or at the very least, she has to come out of it on the other side. She really, if he really wanted to be T'Pau, she really should have had a code name. And then, at the end, when everything's wrapped up, she could have been by the way, my real name is T'Pau.
Yeah, you can call me this.
Yeah. Oh, shit! And, Manny could have had his moment.
Yeah, but the thing is, that seems like a stunt at that point, if you do that.
I mean, it's still terrible.
That's someday we'll have a prime directive.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think, like you said, Jake, she just didn't have to be T'Pau at all. But if you are insisting, at least save the reveal for, if not the end of episode 3, at least save it until it's been revealed in some other way that Valas is obviously up to no good.
Here's the biggest fan wank of them all that they could have done. It's just some random Vulcan lady. No T'Pau, and then at the end of the episode, I guess it would be at the end of the next episode, once the whole plot's resolved, the Sirenite leader lady is talking to T'Pol and is like, your name in the old tongue of Surak, in our language back then, would have been pronounced T'Pau. And that's the fan wank.
That's a lot of wank.
Because then we're like, oh my god, T'Pol is T'Pol? Oh my fucking shit!
And that would have made her 180, and Caitlin would be happier.
Yeah, she'd be more aged into the part.
Yeah. Caitlin,
Well, I'm glad somebody's thinking about what makes me happy. Thank God.
Although, come to think of it, though, the aging of T'Pau, actually, it's not the worst, because now that I'm thinking about it, because remember how old T'Pol looked in E Squared?
Well, she'd been living rough,
awful.
too.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, she was still living on a starship.
Yeah. Still, yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did look it up. Although I don't think they say her name in the movie, the woman in Star Trek 3 is a distinct character, Talar.
Oh.
Because all women have to be T apostrophe something.
Except the ones who aren't.
Yes, but most of them.
Many who aren't.
We see, so here's a little interesting, I guess it's interesting if you know the show, but T'Pol's mom and Admiral Layton, the actors, previous to this, appeared together as recurring characters in the TV show 6 Feet Under.
No kidding.
As a husband and wife duo.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was I was half expecting, because I have seen this before multiple times, but I totally forgot who the Talas character is, and because of T'Pol's reaction when she sees him, I was like, oh, it's going to turn out that he's her dad, like her estranged dad. But of course, that wasn't what came to be. But I was like, oh my god, if they make it so that T'Pol's parents are also Brenda's parents from 6 Feet Under, I will be very amused.
Yeah, it was funny. I was like, Valas is really familiar, and I meant to look him up, and I forgot to. But yeah, I think the lack of beard is partly what threw me. Like, when you look him up, you look at Leighton, and you can see from, like, the beard up, it's like, oh, yeah, that is the same man. But the chin is, even though it's quite a very close-cut beard, it still just fucks up your perception.
Yeah, this is a man with the eyes of an evil admiral.
Yes.
But he definitely plays the scumbag in charge well. You know?
Yes.
And, like, part of me was somewhat disappointed, I guess, in how much this mirrored Paradise Lost and Homecoming.
It's Enterprise's...
Homefront, Jesus Christ.
This is what Enterprise does. They just look at the shows that came before and do a lesser version.
Like, even like opening it with a bombing at a summit. Like, literally that is the instigating incident of Homefront. Hey,
it opens with someone 50 or however many years ago wandering through a cave and saying Surak. And I'm like, wow, worst teaser in a long time, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
That is true. That one, if you don't know your Star Trek, you're just like, what?
Who? Why?
I don't think they've mentioned him up to this point.
If you don't know your Star Trek, you might just be like, you're a Vulcan?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. I think they know, like... The writers knew who they were writing for.
Yeah, they put Star Trek back in the title card. It's fine.
If you're still tuning in to watch this show, you are either like a huge masochist or, you're just a diehard Star Trek
You're
fan
waiting for the Easter egg. Speaking of Easter eggs, I have another little Easter egg. The questions that Arev asked Archer in the Forge when he's trying to prove, like, are you actually studying Vulcan shit or not, are the questions that Spock gets asked in the voyage home when he's recuperating.
I meant to look that up because I kind of wondered. I'm glad you did. I was like, I bet those are the Spock questions.
They were. So there are answers. I don't have the answers handy, but there are actual answers to those questions online somewhere.
Yep. There was one thing that was really weird, is that towards the end of part 2, when the High Command is, bombing them, Tamami comes in and says, the Vulcan ships are attacking the Enterprise. And it's like, you mean your ships? Like, like, I get that. I
joined this cult. I don't consider myself one anymore.
Like, they're still Vulcans.
Well, I think they separate themselves from the High Command.
Well, that's what I was thinking. She should have said the High Command's ships.
Yeah.
The High Command is attacking the Enterprise.
Yeah, having a Vulcan run and saying, the Vulcans are doing this, is just like, sorry, what? Like, that was just a weird
and how does she know that? Because they don't have
telescopes.
Sensors.
They got telescopes, they said.
They all have really great eyesight.
That too.
Yes.
But they did at one point specifically, like, it was like, sensors are showing, it's like, telescopes reveal. It's like, yeah, I mean, they would work. They're not electric.
Yeah. The one thing this episode was missing was Archer affecting a prison escape by doing a Vulcan neck pinch.
Maybe part 3.
Yeah, which he would now know because he's got the Vulcan in him.
So shouldn't he be going crazy like McCoy?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, he should, but much like Michael Burnham in Discovery, Archer is the most important person.
true. And Surak likes being in there, evidently. So maybe he's okay with it. So he's like, I'll make sure he doesn't go crazy because, I like being in a human.
It's
Weird
just
Surak.
proof. It's proof
Wow,
that
what's up with all these Vulcans who like being inside humans, if you know what I mean?
Or having humans inside them.
Who's had a human who's had a human
T'Pol.
inside them?
Yeah,
oh,
T'Pol.
right.
Heyo.
Yeah, no, either, I have two theories. Either, it turns out Spock was just fucking with McCoy, which, plausible.
Yikes.
2, Archer is already so insane he can't be driven matter.
Yeah, well, I feel like and maybe it's because, Surak is like Alpha Vulcan and, Spock, despite having almost completed the R, is not as skilled of Vulcaning as Surak was.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like I
like-
also wondered, because Archer hallucinates seeing Surak telling him
Yeah.
shit. And it's like, this is also a new Katra thing we've never seen before.
Yeah,
Did,
so like with
what's
Surak,
his
he's
name?
just like, it's like a hallucination. It's like a whole thing. Like Surak is actually conscious
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Archer's brain.
Apparently he wasn't with Siron, because Siron, I don't think, knew any of this shit. Siron wasn't shown where the Kirshara is, where Surak liked keeping his stash.
Yeah.
That's weird. Another thing, maybe, is that perhaps being part human, a meld between Spock and a human works differently, and so his shit got more intertwined with Bones than it would have if he were a complete Vulcan. Like, there's enough co-whatever between their brains. It's kind of like when Odo participated in the... What's it? With
Jadzia.
Jadzia? Yeah. It's like they'd never done it with a changeling before, and it's like, oh, so this happens. And so it's like the first time a half-human, half-Vulcan melded with a human like that, and it's like, oh, that happens.
So evidently the ancient Vulcans would just download their Katras into a jar when they're dying. I'm guessing that's what the plan was before they found out they had a spare Spock.
Yeah.
Like the intention was to put the Katra in a jar.
Oh,
Yeah.
on Mount
And, like-
Seleia or some shit?
Yeah, that's because yeah, exactly. So like that's what that was the initial plan, was like, oh, you got to find this Katra and bring it back to Vulcan.
Yeah, because, like, when they bring him there at first, they're not terribly surprised. Like, yeah, of course, this is what you do. The surprise came when he was like, hey, so we got a spare. Could you try putting him in there? And she's like, fucking what? That shit from fucking bedtime stories?
So all the other Sironites knew Surak was in Siron, or
At
was
least
that
some
news
of them
to them?
did.
Because
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think so.
it's really it's fucking convenient that the Sironites they have the truth of Vulcan shit because they literally have Surak floating around somewhere that they can talk to if they wanted to or something.
Well, so here's the thing, right?
My religion's better than yours.
Well, this is totally a religious cult. Like, let's not bandy around it. Like,
But they're right, is the thing.
They are right, exactly. They are right, and that's kind of the thing about Star Trek, is that they make their religious cults right.
Yeah,
which
you
is
can
always
go
interesting.
to Stovacor with B'Elanna. You can go to hell in the fire caves. It's like, what the actual shit?
Yeah, or Cisco and the wormhole aliens
Yeah.
are fucking gods. They just are.
I mean,
Accepted.
being fair, like, Trek has established from day naught, basically, that, like, gods, quote-unquote, exist. There's just alien life out there that is so fucking advanced that is indistinguishable from what we would call a god.
Ardra, for sure.
Yeah, like, but yeah, so it's like, that in and of itself isn't inherent. Like, again, they were, even though, like, yes, the Bajorans consider them gods, we call them the wormhole aliens. We understand that they are some kind of crazy form of life.
Until later in the series where they don't bother with that anymore.
Well,
Yeah, and they
we
just
as
call
the
them the prophets.
viewers are just like, yeah, that's because Ben drank the Kool-Aid. So, that in and of itself isn't too weird, but it is, if as a viewer you keep in the back of your mind, like, yeah, call it what you want, it's an alien, or call it what you want, it's Vulcan memory backups.
Yeah, and like that's the thing. So like Siren is going around saying, "Yo, I got Surak up here. I am the true successor to Surak because, you know, he's in my brain." And there's no proof of this. It's just a bunch of people were like, "Yeah, that sounds reasonable. All right, let's do it."
I mean, it's also like they're also seeing what the high command is up to, and they're like, we don't want that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's as much a dissident movement as it is a religious movement, but it
both
is
at once.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's very, very Jesus is what it is.
I think too, if this is a better planned and written show, you could use this to explain maybe why modern Vulcan society shuns mind melding, because they're like, because that was the thing, is like they did mention even that I think some of the Sierranites were able to, like, you know, you could meld with him and like feel like, yeah, Surak's in there. And like, yes, I'm sure people could counter argue it's like it's all a fucking psychic trick. But, you know, if you say mind melding is bad, that because you figure this Katra has been getting passed along for 1800 years. So there've been multiple keepers of it who could just go to people and say,
well,
hey,
I don't think so. I think it was in the jar.
You think Siron stole it?
Oh.
I think that opening scene was Siron discovering the Katra container.
Oh, I did not make that connection.
That was the whole reason we saw it. Because
shit.
Yeah, he discovers the Katra is in that jar labeled Surak.
And then he eats it. What a dick. That just makes him an asshole.
Well, for all we know, he was looking for it. Like, that was his intention, was to find it. And
yeah, but he steals a Katra out of Mount Salea, and then names the cult after himself instead of, like, it could have been the Surakites, but no, it's like, I'm going to name it after me. I'm the big honcho guy who's got Surak's brain in my brain now.
Well, it's like, I guess it's like we need a messiah because Vulcan is so fucked up right now. But yeah, so Siron does seem like a bit of a sketchy dude.
I really
just wanders around the desert. What a weirdo.
That's the thing. Like, why isn't he with his crew? It's very strange.
Why doesn't he have a buddy system, Vulcans? Maybe the buddy got eaten by the Selot.
Well, and especially since he's like carrying around like the all-important Katra, like you wouldn't think he would be alone. Like, just in case he like sustains, like, I don't know, a venomous bite of some kind. Like, you would think you would want, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna tell me they got Selots, they don't got scorpions in that fucking desert? Like,
for that matter, when Archer and T'Pol go out looking for Tamami and figuring out this T'Pau thing, bring a dozen Makos! Why do they never use the Makos?
That's a good point. Where the fuck are the Makos?
Well, they did send, when Reed and Mayweather were going to try and land a shuttle, they did take a Mako with them.
They did, who had no lines and no name.
Bring a gun? Like, I know phasers won't work, but like, surely because the Vulcans are used... Well, that's the thing, like, the Vulcans go into this area sometimes. They know it's dangerous. They know modern tech is killed by the whatever field. Surely they still have, like, guns because of that.
A spear. Come on.
Like, just a thing you bring a fucking Lirpa. Something. A knife.
Is the Lirpa the one that's got the bells on it?
No,
that's the thing with the bumper on one side and the blade on the other.
Well, bring the thing with the bells as well. Maybe you can scare off a Selot with that.
Yeah, lucky for us, Selots can't climb small elevations.
Yeah, how stupid was that? Oh, it won't climb. What are you shitting me? You guys like went up it at like a casual pace. You're telling me this big cat that wants to eat you isn't going to go up that? That's
Didn't
bullshit.
we see Aichaya do some climbing in yesteryear?
Yeah,
I don't know, but that was so stupid. Selots famously only move on very flat plains.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Fire can't climb trees.
It's funny. I was watching the other day a video of a guy playing a very bad, like, clearly just thrown together with assets, like, no effort video game. And he literally was like, oh, I'm going to climb on this little hill because there's no way that the attackers can climb this tiny hill because it's such a bad game. And they started to climb the tiny hill. Like, oh, shit!
Oh, no!
So,
they can do it. The Selot can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I will say, the Selot, and it's probably only because it was dark and we only saw it very briefly, but I thought it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it looked all right.
Compared to other CG we've seen in this show.
Yeah, no, this was definitely, like, understanding your abilities and using it appropriately. it was nice to see one in live action, albeit briefly. And because if they'd focused on it, oh good god, but it was mostly far away, kind of blurry, kind of dark.
Yeah, it's more threatening that way if it's further away. And
it's like with Jaws, when they realized the puppet looked like shit, they barely showed it.
I think instead of like scaring it away a la Obi-Wan Kenobi,
I had the same thought.
It would have been better if a Rev had gone up to it, melded it, and then wrote it.
Oh, like maybe like more Avatar or Dune, I guess, kind
of. Then the CGI would really show
Dune,
through.
Yeah, then we'd
true.
see.
But that would also, again, like another tie-in. Like, see, other Vulcans have melded with animals, like that time Spock melded with Gracie.
Yeah, it also makes sense. Like, how do you domesticate a saber-toothed bear?
Yeah.
Very carefully.
Yeah.
And probably not without substantial losses.
I do love T'Pol. You have Porthos. And he's just like, he's been bred over the course of thousands of years into a tiny boy that eats cheese. Like,
oh, he's a tiny boy that eats cheese. He is. And yet, we don't see him in this episode.
Nope.
Needs more Porthos.
No I thought, I'm going to give credit where credit is due.
Go for it.
Mayweather?
I thought Phlox did all right in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Great shot.
And Mayweather, for that matter. Mayweather had a fair amount to do.
That's true.
He had lines. He had to do stuff. He had to fly the ship a few times. He had to almost get blowed up.
Yeah.
By Reed? What the fuck, Reed?
Yeah.
I'm
going to give a special shout out to Phlox and Mayweather this week for being characters and not being shitty.
Yeah.
I cannot say the same for Hoshi, who may have had a line. I can't remember.
I think she, her and Trip had a moment where he, was like, we're beating your team. And she's like, fuck off, redneck.
I was too busy being horrified by how badly the, head investigator was interpreting what a Vulcan was supposed to be to think about anybody else's work.
I didn't even notice.
He was, huh?
I didn't even notice. What did he do?
He was just... maybe I'm wrong if you didn't notice, but honestly, I felt like he was the epitome of just trying to read the lines with no affect and blah, 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 blah. He just struck me as being very, very poor.
This is the younger guy who was the actual bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
Also, he looked like Bruce, what's his name from Kids in the Hall, which I found a little bit distracting.
I love Bruce McCullough.
Didn't he though?
I was looking him up.
I'd have to look.
I was looking him up to see if he was anything, and nothing I knew. He was there was some show he was in that was semi-popular around the same time.
What was it?
Oh, right. He was apparently a recurring character in Strangers with Candy.
Oh, I've never seen... I'm familiar with it because it was on Comedy Central.
Yeah, I saw ads all the time, but I never actually saw it.
Well, because it looked stupid, because it was all about that woman who seemed like Jerry, who seemed like she would just be obnoxious. I never wanted to follow up on that because it looked terrible.
He was apparently...
Also, I realized today...
It's pretty funny in an absurd way, and it's got a young Stephen Colbert. So.
Oh, wow.
Oh, all right, well, Stephen Colbert's all right.
So, Jake, you've seen it. So, apparently the investigator was her half-brother.
I don't... Honestly, it's been so long since I've seen it, I couldn't place it, so
Fair.
I believe you.
Fair.
Yeah, getting back to giving Phlox some props.
Yeah.
Phlox props.
So he figures out, very cunningly that, the DNA is actually the DNA that they took from T'Pau as a baby, because, there's not a cold case on Vulcan, apparently. Do they bring that to the High Council to be like, okay, yeah, sure, the meld thing you're going to throw out because you don't believe in melds and all this shit. We do have this evidence?
Yeah, you'd think.
Someone planted that. But okay, I guess that's when they threw Stell under the bus.
Yeah, and it's true. And I think that, I don't know, I got the sense that they were already kind of like, this guy seems kind of sketch.
Yeah.
Which guy?
All of them. and they had already they already knew that the guard had seen the bomber because they had the security footage.
Yeah.
So I figure maybe they were thinking was, okay, we'll talk to the guard first and get...
I'm sorry, who's the they in your sentence? The Vulcans
Mayweather and Trip.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, let's talk to the guard, see what he saw, and then once they have the whole picture, maybe then they were planning to take it to the High Command, which is what they ended up doing anyway. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm saying when Velas asks Soval, how did you get this info from the guard? You could have just lied and say, he told me. Oh,
was
can we
awake
talk to
for
him?
like
No, he's in
3
a coma now.
seconds.
Yeah,
What?
we Phlox did something terribly unethical, woke him up, and now he's back in a coma.
Yeah, like that's the thing. When they were first, like, he was like, "Oh, I mean, there's only so much damage he can take," and it's like, "Come on, Phlox, jump at the chance to do something unethical like you normally do."
But yeah, I don't know. I thought I actually really like these 2 episodes. I hope they stick the landing. But I thought this was a pretty good couple of episodes here.
Yeah, it's hard not to look at metatextually, which I think,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, yeah, you're trying to fix what the last couple seasons have done with the Vulcans. You're doing the really heavy-handed T'Pau thing, which, again, did not need to be there.
Yeah, it does make me like Soval a little more. They kind of like make him a little bit more of a complex character. He had one more great line that I really liked. I wrote down when they're being attacked by the High Command and somebody, let's say Trip, because why not? How many warning shots do Vulcans usually take? None.
yeah.
Nice, good for you, Team Soval.
Actually,
Like, what's a warning shot?
setting precedent for Discovery.
There you go.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
a
The
Vulcan hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
and
T'Pau. She's cool.
Yeah, she seems good.
I'm
I do kind of agree with Caitlin that like I don't see her becoming the old crone from Amok Time.
I wonder if they tried to lean against that, like tell the actress don't look at that portrayal or anything.
But I guess like in Vulcan years, like, yeah, she might be 30 or whatever, but in Vulcan years, that's still like adolescence. I'm suspecting.
Yeah.
Like,
Spock grew up real fucking fast, but that's just because as a human he aged.
That's because he was on Genesis planet.
I get it. Damn you, you son of a bitch.
But yeah,
I'm also really bummed that they just fridged Tamami.
a lot of
Just
friggin'.
so T'Pol can have a sad.
And like, yeah, and I thought that scene was all right though.
Yeah, the scene
like
was
having,
alright.
Having T'Pol like visibly crying was interesting.
It also,
I guess they really don't practice the colon R at this time because they're quite emotional.
we also know that she's a bit frazzled still.
That's true.
From
She's
the Trellium
affected
thing.
from like various traumas.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also fucking Trip a lot.
Yes.
I
And taking drugs for that period of time.
I also feel like there was no like proper acknowledgement of Admiral Forrest dying. Like, yeah, there's the voiceover where she's like, "My friend's dead," and it's just like, your friend? That is a fucking understatement. Like, of all the times where I would have been like, like when he goes into the room with the cargo bay full of coffins, like, at least if you specifically saw him go up to one of them and maybe like Forrest's name is on the flag, and he just stands there and looks sad for just a minute, doesn't say or do anything. Like, this guy has been one of your more major recurring characters, has again clearly been like one of the most important figures in Archer's life since his father died.
Yeah, he's had his back this whole time where most people haven't.
Yeah, he's basically Archer's surrogate father.
Yeah,
I believe.
which we've said before.
That's their relationship.
Yeah, and like the fact that there isn't a proper scene where Archer gets to mourn him is like,
he does get to yell at T'Pau because you realize, like, oh, wait, he doesn't know that the Sirenites aren't responsible. He actually does think at this time T'Pau did it.
Yeah.
So he, like, screams at her for a while, and she's just
that's
like,
on brand for
this
Archer
is,
too, though.
This is illogical of you.
Yeah, like that.
Like, why have a measured response to something where you can just scream at people?
I just thought if there was any time to give a chance to give Archer a human moment, this was it, and they blew it. And also, I think just for us as the audience, like, we've come to like the guy, like, give us a second.
Who, Forrest? Yeah.
To, like, be kind of bummed. It's like, because you don't know. In that scene, he tackles him. It's like, oh shit, are they okay? And we find out through a 2-second voiceover.
Yeah. Well, when they show us the building,
yeah,
I don't see how fucking
Saval
got out of there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. Maybe Forrest is made of lead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like half expecting them to drop we've analyzed the bomb and it's unusual. It has a molecular decay fuse. Huh, that's an interesting technology. I've never seen that used. And that, of course, is the fuse that's used in TNG with this fucking episode. It's a Romulan device.
Oh.
I don't remember when this is used.
Was that when they introduced Gowron?
Yes, it is in that. It is in
Oh.
what the fuck, Reunion? Is that the name of that
Yeah,
episode?
Reunion, because
Reunion.
Kaylar's there.
with fucking.
I always forget that's called Reunion because there's so much that so much happens in that
Yeah.
episode.
It's a very good episode.
Like, it introduces Gowron, it introduces Alexander, it kills off Kaylar, it kills off Duras. It's like, holy shit.
It introduces
Can we do more in an episode.
Klingon CSI. It was a bomb.
Yes.
It exploded.
Yes.
Puts on
but
the
that's
sunglasses.
how they know it's a Romulan device, is because
Yeah.
it's got the molecular decay, whatever, fuse, timer, trigger. I thought that would have been an interesting, like, deep lore
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
if they just offhandedly mentioned that the bomb had a molecular decay timer.
God, speaking of Romulans, I meant to bring this up earlier. Talking about now we've got sort of a roughly around 1800 years ago, maybe-ish, the Romulans split off from Vulcan. And, even at the time, I think we said the Remans evolving was really fucking fast. It's really fucking fast.
There's
Address
got to
the
have been
Remans-
some like other effects acting on them to make that happen.
I'm going to say, here's going to be my new headcanon for the Remans. They are the original inhabitants of Romulus.
That makes the most sense.
They are the native species, and the Romulans show up and are like, no, this is our planet now. Go live on that moon over there.
And then some of them fuck.
And then some of them fuck. Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, that, honestly, that works. Like, they look different enough. Like, yeah, they got pointy ears, but so does half the fucking galaxy. So that certainly makes more sense than them being an offshoot.
Also just the fact that, like, here's the thing, though. The Remans were introduced in that one stupid movie.
It's not canon.
They're not canon. that movie is not canon. I mean, that movie was basically rendered non-canon by Star Trek Picard anyway.
Ha.
Yeah, that's true.
I have another gripe that Jake and I were making a lot of fun of at the end of The Forge when they're hiding in that cave from the fire snow or whatever it is they're doing.
Fire snow.
And Erev and Archer are just picking up massive boulders
Oh my god.
to put in the doorway.
Seriously, like, they were lifting up rocks that had to, like, if they were real rocks, they would have weighed 600 pounds. Unless the rocks on Vulcan are all pumice and it's just like all this, hollow, and maybe they are, or maybe the I don't know, maybe gravity works differently in the Forge. I don't know,
yeah.
but they
Gross.
should not have been able to pick up those rocks as easily as they were.
Except that, they looked like styrofoam. Like, they didn't do a very good job of making them look like rocks. Like, the thing is, we know Vulcans are stronger than humans by a fair bit.
Yeah, that was my first assessment is, okay, maybe Arev can lift these things, but then Archer picks up one just as big.
Like, if anything, they should have shown Archer struggling to pick one up and failing, and then, like...
Yeah, they did not think.
Arev and even maybe Arev and DePaul together have to lift one, and you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, this is... And Archer's just like,
yeah,
I got nothing.
I have these little spindly human arms.
Mm.
And not enough eyelids. Good eyelid continuity. They did a good job with that, and how like Vulcans don't need like the amount of water a human would need out in the desert.
Yeah.
Good continuity there.
Yeah, she's like, we kind of evolved here. Like,
oh, they brought up the second eyelid.
They did.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Archer's wearing these derpy sunglasses.
Yeah, they sat like too high on his nose or something. They didn't look cool.
No,
they looked bad.
No. I mean, the thing is, the design too is again like many of the props, just very early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, on top of that, they were not the right size or shape.
Yeah, I was hoping for like a nice futuristic looking sunglass. Like something even more like whatever we saw in Is There in Truth No Beauty. Like something just future shit. That's like, oh yeah, these things are like blocking all the UV and only the UV and everything else is fine. I don't know.
Yeah, the problem is they then would have designed something bespoke and it would have looked fucking awful. Because the prop design in this show is a fucking war crime.
Also, I found, what's his actual name again? Ambassador Velas to be kind of an idiot. Because, he's asking Tucker, like, why are you still here? And never does he think, why am I talking to Tucker? Put Archer on. Put T'Pol on. Where are they? He never figures this out. Son of a bitch. What a stupid Vulcan.
He's too busy committing most of his mental faculties to evil.
He does love the evil.
So much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if when they were casting this, they were like, okay, we're going to do this plot. It's going to, it's going to be very similar to like what happened in Homefront. And but we just need like the big baddie. We need a real Admiral Layton type character. Who could we get to play that part?
Jeffrey Combs.
There you go. Yeah, but they've already telegraphed. They've already basically told us that we're going to have Shran next week. So,
but how great would it be to have him threatening himself in the third part?
Oh yeah, the standoff between Shran and Leighton Combs would have been epic. Like, we already have him appearing as multiple characters in the same episode, but I don't think any of those characters ever interact.
Yeah,
so
no.
This would be the next logical evolution of Combs acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know now there is at least rumor that the Andorians have some remnant of Xindi technology that they're going to be threatening people with. And I don't know if Tucker and friends were like, no, that's not a thing, but it is. We remember it is a thing. It's a thing, guys.
They did do some scans of that What's-It.
They loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm curious how this, because I don't remember how this unfolds in the following episode. Now that we've got the Kirshara, we've killed off Tamami, we don't trust Valas, all the things.
Yeah.
That'll be an issue for next week.
Oh, yeah, you stay tuned for the shocking conclusion.
Because that guy got struck by lightning.
Oh, no!
All right. So, shall we move on to Tom Paris?
Oh, man, it's Tom Paris week. This is a good week, because I had a lot of great Tom Paris moments. But I'm not going to start. Someone else is going to start telling us great and bad things Tom Paris did in all of Voyager.
Fuck it, I'll do
it. And ignore that one Lower Decks episode.
I haven't seen it, so I will. So we all agreed that Tuvok's plan to infiltrate the Kazon was actually pretty dumb.
Terrible plan.
But goddamn, Tom was like, hey, this is terrible and will almost certainly get me killed. But I am a brave little boy, and I will totally agree to it. Which maybe is stupid, but it's brave, and bravery is commendable.
Ah.
So, yeah.
And he foiled Seska's stupid scheme.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, yeah, Tom agreeing to the terrible, terrible plan at some vague point that culminates in investigations. We all love his friendship with Harry. There's so many delightful moments. It transcends timelines. They even still sort of become buddies in that weird episode where Harry is in a world where he didn't go on Voyager. But for my example, I'm going to go with the fact that they mostly resisted those terrible mind fuck devices in the chute.
I do love that episode for the two of them.
There were some blow-ups, but overall they did really, really well. So good for them. And again, related to bad Tuvok, ultimately, he does kiss her, but he does resist B'Elanna's come on, because she's not fully in control of herself in Blood Fever.
Thank you, Tom. Coolies.
Yeah. I'll go. All right. So, I also had, for my first Tom Paris moment, not taking advantage of Torres when she had the Ponfar.
Good on you, Tom.
Yeah, everybody was telling him to, and he said, fuck no, I'm not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So good on him. Secondly, I have not starting a mutiny actually starting a mutiny, that is, on the Krenim ship.
Yay!
Yeah.
I know you like that one.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
And while Chakotay was chilling with Red Foreman, Tom Paris was sowing the seeds of dissent. So good for that. And then I'm going to say, in another moment of principle, helping what's-his-fuck with the fucking ocean thing and saving the ocean planet people. And,
in 30 days.
In 30 days.
That's a damn good one.
At great personal expense, because, he was demoted back to ensign, and never mind that he got re-promoted
in like 10
sooner
minutes.
Than Harry got promoted the first time.
And did 30 days in solitary.
Yeah.
With a guard that wasn't allowed to look at him.
Yeah,
right.
Again, that really feels like a thing Starfleet would not have still be legal, but never mind.
Well, Neelix brought him food once in a while, so...
Yeah.
B'Elanna never visited.
No.
How about you, Caitlin? You got some good Tom moments?
Well, unfortunately, there seems to be some overlap here.
That's fine. We know when Tom is good.
Of course, not taking advantage of B'Elanna.
Yep.
One of the only people that allows her to keep her agency in the show. Good going. Well, that's not true, I guess. Mostly it's just Janeway who's like, fuck you, B'Elanna, you do what I say.
Fuck Tom now.
Yeah.
I want to watch.
Oh. Also, I also said saving that underwater Fern Gully planet in spite of orders to the contrary. Yes, thank you. because, you know, that's like straight to my heart. Like, that's everything. All the movies I feel like I watched when I was a kid, or at least the ones that I liked the most, had sort of this environmental message, like maybe don't destroy the planet. And I like that Tom Paris is the lieutenant that young Caitlin would have wanted him to be. And I think it takes a big man to admit when you've been flirting with your friend's girl and put aside your differences. So I think him and Neelix patching up their cranky relationship in parturition. Parturition.
Yeah.
Good word.
That's nice.
Because, you know, I don't know. It sort of, it helps to deal with things about Tom and Neelix that suck. That being him trying to make him Will Riker, and Neelix being like extremely jealous and stupid.
Yeah, and the writers address it and say, "Oh God, we messed up. We'll fix it now. Look, we fixed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Forgive us." Good ones, Caitlin. I like those.
Thank you.
No one has said my top one, and my top one is my favorite Tom moment. Guys, he goes past the warp 10 barrier. Which is actually, like, it's such actually a great Tom moment. It just happens to be entirely, like, shadowed over by the ridiculous turning into a lizard nonsense. But damn, does Tom Good do great work in Threshold, and I just have to give him credit for, you know, growing as a person and taking chances and all the stuff he does.
While also shrinking into a lizard.
Also morphing into all kinds of fucking monsters. But good for him. His makeup looked great. Two other ones, because, otherwise I have a lot of overlap with the 30 Days and the Blood Fever and the Year of Hell stuff. But I'm going to jump further down my list, because I have some extras. And I know, like, last week we were saying, like, the him-B'Elanna relationship is just quite nice. And I think the nicest thing that we see Tom doing in his B'Elanna relationship is all throughout Nothing Human, when she has a puppet on her chest, he is by her bedside the entire time, being supportive. He even, like, says, like, at some point, like, B'Elanna's wishes are this, and, you know, even if I don't agree with them, because I'd like her to be alive, please, I will state what her wishes that I happen to know are, and all this stuff. And good on him for being a good boyfriend. And the last one that I think is a good one, I'm going to give to the little speech he gives to the EMH about watching his Hollow Kid die in real life, and how it's worth it to, like, you know, finish this chapter on watching Belle die. Go watch Belle die, you'll feel better afterwards. Thanks, Tom. But it is such a really beautiful scene that I have to give him credit.
Fair. But Tom done fucked up sometimes.
Oh, he does that a lot. Speaking
of parturition, everything that led up to parturition and parturition, including spaghetti fight.
Spaghetti!
Like, dude, she is with someone.
Yep.
Stop hitting on her.
Yep.
Don't you remember what hitting on a married woman got you in Vis-a-Vis? Stop it.
Ooh.
Not Vis-a-Vis, I mean...
Pregnant?
I mean ex post facto. Sorry, ex post facto.
Oh, is that also on your list?
No, I was torn between ex post facto and parturition, between, like, times Tom, like, got too cozy with somebody that was already in a relationship. But parturition I'm going with because it was a culmination of, you know, a couple of different things. Vis-a-Vis was there because he's being such a whiny little midlife crisis douche in Vis-a-Vis until that guy steals his life.
Yeah.
Like, Tom, fucking chill. And I'm gonna go with literally just being Nick Locarno. Like, he got people killed and tried to cover it up. That is still his backstory, even though they changed his name.
That is not going to make the blog, Chris. That's not a thing.
Well,
it is.
But I think you're saying the Tom Paris backstory.
Yeah, no, like Tom did, like, actually...
Not with Locarno, but Tom's
like, there's a reason
backstory.
he was in prison.
Yeah, like, it's lazy because
follow
they just...
you now.
Yeah, no. They did act, like, when they say why he left Starfleet, it was because, like, the only difference is he did it when he was in Starfleet proper, not in the Academy. But it's literally that he fucked up.
Kind of makes it worse, you know?
Yeah, he fucked up, got people killed, and tried to cover it up. If anything, it's even, like, more ridiculous because it was, like, pilot error, not I actively did something I shouldn't have and got people killed. So, like, if you just fessed up to pilot error, like, yeah, maybe it would slow your career a little, but it wouldn't, like, destroy you, you know? But, like, his ego couldn't take that he'd fucked up.
I don't know. If you're A.G. Robinson, pilot error will destroy your career.
But yeah, so getting people killed and trying to hide from it, as we discover in his introduction in Caretaker.
Neat. How about you,
Good
Jake?
ones.
All right, yeah. So for my Tom, bad Tom, bad. I'm gonna have this is like literally a moment. So it is quite in the spirit.
It is a specific line delivery.
It is actually a specific line.
Ooh.
It is the time, and I'm like 80% sure this was Tom. I might be wrong.
If you're saying what I think you're about to say.
It's in Caretaker.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
When he tells Chakotay,
No.
hey, can't your people turn into a bird? And,
Why wasn't that on Chris's list? That's such a Chris moment.
It's on my fucking list. This is bullshit.
I had it there as a dishonorable mention because I had things I wanted to have on the list proper more. So I'm glad it's on actual lists as well.
Yeah, because that was fucked up, Tom.
Hate that line.
Yeah, so this one's a little weird, and I'm gonna. It's gonna be tough to pick a specific example of it. I guess going all out and buying a necklace for Kess.
Yeah,
Didn't
what
he do
episode
that?
was he did, because when I was looking him up, that was part of the thing that
I
led
can't remember when.
I don't think it was
I-
in Parturition, but that's kind of one of the things that
Yeah.
led up to.
I mean, now Jealous Neelix is bad, and I'm sure that'll be on my Neelix list. But
Yeah,
but also
Tom, come on, man.
Tom Steelio Girl is also on my list.
Yeah, he spent like 2 weeks of replicator rations on them. I cannot remember the episode title.
2 weeks of replicator rations on what?
A necklace
On
for Cass.
buying jewelry for Kess.
Oh, yeah, gross. Don't do that. She's literally, like, engaged or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do that.
Yeah. Hint to Neelix that he should buy the necklace.
Yeah. Well, also just like crushing on Kess in general wasn't cool.
Well,
Like,
I mean, like, here's the thing. You cannot help how you feel, you know?
But you
Yeah,
can help
but-
how
If
you
you have
act.
a crush on Cass, who among us doesn't, you know? But there's a big difference between being like, wow, she's really pretty and I really like being around her and I, like, you know, sometimes spank it thinking about her, to, like, being like, I am going to hit on the girlfriend of my, like, literal work colleague.
Yeah, that's the thing. He oversteps
Like,
that
you
bound.
can think whatever you want. Acting on that shit's not really okay, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good point. Well put.
It was Twisted, by the way, is where he
Was it
Thank
Twisted? Okay.
you.
where we find out he spent the replicator rations on a
That's
necklace.
a weird episode.
Well, that's a good title, because that shit is twisted. Fuck Tom Paris.
I actually forgot about that episode. It was
That's
weird.
the one where the ship is all discombobulated.
Yeah, it's getting dimensionally
Yeah.
fucky.
And Neelix makes a cake.
Oh, way to
Yeah.
go, Neelix.
And you had one more
Poison
from you,
cake
Jake.
for Tom.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
One more.
Yum.
I'm going to say, whatever the fuck was going on with Alice,
Yeah.
the ship he tried to bang.
Well, being
That
fair,
is
it
a
was kind
bangable
of
ship.
fucking with his brain. No,
Yeah.
that is an ugly ass ship. That's a huge problem with that episode. Like, wow, look at it. It's like, it's
You're
hideous.
like, I've seen ships I want to put my dick in, and that's not it.
Ooh.
No, not me personally. I just,
But definitely Tom.
oh yeah, I
You
think
know.
he would be hard pressed to find a ship that Tom doesn't want to put his dick in, as proven by Alice.
Cool. Thank you
I mean,
for those, Jake. Caitlin.
So, obviously, Tom Paris telling Chakotay that his people can turn into birds is wicked fucked up. She's like, oh. And, like, here's the thing. Like, I know it was a different time or whatever, but I don't think it was that different of a time.
No, I was gonna say, by the late 90s, I feel like, no. Like, there's a lot of shit. It's
But
amazing.
we were still calling them Indians then, you know? So, like, who really knows? You know, it's like this episode of SCTV where the joke is that they're being racist against Romanis or gypsies. And it's like, ha 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 ha, because nobody cares. This is our racial episode. But now 30 years later, it's like, actually, don't say gypsy and, you know, whatever. So it's all a matter of time. But I don't know. It's not good.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if that shit was okayed by their alleged, you know, indigenous person,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
you know,
You
if
got
he
the,
was like,
you got
no,
the stamp
yeah,
of approval.
we love that. So like, then I can't even really be mad at him. It wasn't his fault. It was that asshole's fault. And
That guy
I
turns
assume
into a
we're not-
bird all the time.
I assume, yeah, seriously. I assume we're not doing a week for him though, so we can just blame Paris. We
Well,
can
'cause
blame
there's
Tom.
no-
That's fine.
Good things about that man.
That's true. But to be fair, I mean, he was faking it the whole time, which is like acting, which does mean he sort of was an actor in this show.
Ah.
Yeah, I also said hitting on Kess because cut the shit, which for reasons we've already covered, really. And I'm gonna say taking B'Elanna seriously for granted and treating her like crap and like not appreciating like when she was trying to do stuff with him and like I don't know. I feel like Tom fucked up.
Do you have an example in particular or just in general?
God. Weren't they supposed to have some like magical like pre-baby moon holiday thing when he went and did the race?
Oh, yeah, they
like,
were.
Didn't she like plan a whole thing?
Yes, they
and
totally
he was like,
did.
"Sorry, baby, not now. I gotta race cars, vroom vroom."
Yeah, and that's why she kind of like makes herself his co-pilot because it's like, when am I gonna have time to hang out with you otherwise?
Although honorable mention, he designed that sweet racing suit.
That did look nice. She looked great in it.
Actually, Harry probably designed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna build off of that because that was definitely Tom being shit to B'Elanna for an episode long because he wants to play with his toy. But later in that episode, and I know like Jake last week or 2 weeks ago because we had a 10 forward in the meantime, put marrying B'Elanna on the great list because it's nice for the two of them to have each other.
Oh yeah.
But the way Tom proposes is bullshit.
Super.
I don't remember. How does
it's in that episode?
It's in that episode. They're fighting and fighting and fighting over, should we even be together in the first place? And then Tom is like, but what if I marry you instead? And it's like, that's Tom proposed to get out of a fight.
That's a Band-Aid, Tom. That's not cool.
Stupid.
Yeah. Hey, B'Elanna, I even got you this engagement ring. Why is it engraved T Heart K?
No!
Ignore that.
T Hearts Alice the ship. Wait, nope, wrong one. Yeah, so that's gross, Tom, and I don't like that you did it that way, even though I do like, the two of you together. Fucking grow up. Dicks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Make an honest woman out of B'Elanna, but like don't do it in such a shitty way. I had completely forgotten about that, and boy, Tom, lame.
Yeah. I'm going to jump over some more because I do have more overlap with the so much Kess bullshit. God damn it. But I'm going to go a little further down my list to have some variety because I also have this very annoying thing that I'm sure I'm going to also mention when we talk EMH. And that's that he makes this Pygmalion-esque bet with the doctor in Someone to Watch Over Me. Entirely like, not giving Seven any fucking agency because the two of them are just looking at her as a thing that they need to fix. Yeah. And that's terrible because she doesn't need fixing. She's already great. Fuck you, men. I hate them.
Yep.
And I need one more. Hey, let's go back to ex post facto because that's really fun. Fucking that bird woman because that's just gross, Tom.
Oh, I still it's so funny because it's not even a full prosthetic, but it is still.
It's a hat.
It is the most hideous alien makeup they've done.
Yeah,
well, that might be a stretch, but it's pretty bad.
Here's the thing. It's probably the most hideous makeup they've done that isn't supposed to be hideous. Like, we're not supposed to look at it and feel revolted like some creatures.
Yeah, no, they actually did that and were like, we did a good job today, guys.
Yeah, and it's like, no,
There were high fives all around in the makeup room.
Like, there was that guy that, It's a Fake played at the start of season 3 of Enterprise, that horrible little, mining guy they gave platinum to. And you look at him and you recoil, but you're supposed to. He's a gross, sniffly little Like, these you're supposed to think Tom looked at this woman and thought, yeah, I want to fuck this woman with the worst case of psoriasis I've ever seen.
Wow.
And her dog was terrible,
hateful
too.
towards people with psoriasis.
I mean, look, I have a terrible scalp and skin, so I can't say anything, but it ain't as bad as that.
All right, I don't know.
Weird flex, Chris. But thank you, that's some good Tom. They don't have other Tom things they wanted to bring up before we putter away.
I don't think so.
You got nothing.
No, let's putt.
I generally like Tom. I think they do a good job making his character complex and interesting. He does stupid shit because he's a character, and that's what characters do. And we can give him shit for it because, god damn it, Tom, you should know better.
Yeah.
But we're going to move on because as we're nearing, thank God, the end of Enterprise.
Woo!
Woo-hoo-hoo! And we only have the 1 year of Enterprise really to get through, so we're only going to do the one fanfic this year for Enterprise. You guys can write more on your own, of course. But for the show, we do this thing where we write a fanfic at the end of the series, and we draw names, and we, figure out what things we're going to write about. And we're going to do it a little different this year. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to easiest thing we're going to do is we're just going to draw what order we're going to do this in. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw main characters, of which there are really only 7 from the show. So we're going to draw what order we're going to draw them in first. That'll be quick. Here's the button. It's going. Button. So first will be Jake. Should we do the full order, or do you want to start drawing now, Jake?
Let's just do the full order and get it over with.
Good. That way I can close this window. So we remove Jake from the list. We spin again.
Woo!
Yeah, we're using Wheel of Names. I like wheelofnames.com because it is very fun to watch the wheel spin. Congratulations, Chris. We will be next.
Hooray!
All right, Caitlin. It's me versus you.
Woo!
And Caitlin wins by a landslide.
Wow. How can you win a 2-person, like, coin toss by a landslide, Ames?
You just threw extra coins in the air at the same time.
Oh, yeah, so I cheated. That sounds right. Yeah.
Now you gotta spin again.
Yeah,
Spin myself.
Spin. Somehow a new name pops in.
No, Caitlin again somehow.
Carl.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Carl, you gotta write a fanfic if you're listening.
All right, so for our main characters that we're picking from, so there's only the 7 main characters, and there's only the 4 of us, so there aren't really enough for each of us to pick 2. So we're just not going to deplete the list as they go. So Jake, the 2 characters that you get to choose from are Hoshi, good choice, and one more for Jake.
Hoshi!
Oh, I'm so sorry, Jake. I'm sorry, Jake.
Is this not the exact scenario that we discussed?
Yeah.
Jake has Hoshi and Mayweather, and I apologize.
That's all right.
Wow.
It's just gonna be a spy versus spy prank off.
All right.
You know?
Yes.
So I think the idea is we'll pick one of them. I'll let you sit on that for a moment while I let the rest of us draw. So Chris, your 2 characters to choose from as the wheel spins and spins. If everyone gets Hoshi and Mayweather,
Oh my god.
You know what? Honestly, if we all had to write about Hoshi and Mayweather, it would almost sort of make up for the fact that none of the writers on this show ever wrote for Hoshi and Mayweather.
Seriously,
Right.
there's
Not
so
remove.
little to contradict in their backgrounds.
Put Hoshi back in the list.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
now the order's messed up.
Well, that might help.
She gets Hoshi again.
Ooh, Hoshi and T'Pol. I like that.
Oh, all right.
That's a good choice.
Hot lady makeouts. Perfect. These fanfics are all coming out great so far.
All right. The 2 Caitlin has to choose from. Ooh,
Oh,
Reed.
God.
Reed.
No one picks Reed. We know this from that episode where he has no girlfriend.
Okay,
And
if it's
Reed
Reed
again.
if it's
Hey,
Reed,
all right. I
if
guess
it's-
I'll pick Reed.
If it's Reed again, I think respin.
Yeah, we do a respin. You can't get
Okay.
the same person twice.
But if you get Reed a third
I did,
time,
though.
you just have to do Reed.
That's fine. Oh,
Oh, no.
gross.
Oh, come on, come on, come
oh,
on!
wait, Quad. Oh, no!
Oh, you did
Oh,
Yeah, nice.
nice.
It made
So
it into
for
the
those-
trip section.
For those
Wow.
at home, it really looked like it was going to land on Archer and just made it to Trip. And this is decided
I literally
by the
don't
computer,
believe
not
it.
us.
Like, it's barely on
It's
trip.
on the
It
line.
looks like it's on the line.
But the computer
Well,
said
the
Trip.
computer knows what's good.
Thank you, computer. Okay, and the 2 that I'm going to put on my possibility list are going to be...
Oh, no, Phlox.
Phlox, or...
Just get Phlox 3 times.
No.
Phlox and whatever poor
Ooh,
fuck he's
okay.
stealing celery off the plate of.
I'll take
Reed.
Phlox or Reed. Reed I might be able to do something fun with.
So we can only use. So we're only using one of these. We don't have to use them both. Because Trip and Reed go together like peanut butter and
I
jelly.
mean, you can use both. You just don't. You only have to choose one. But you can feel free to include whichever one you didn't choose in your story for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I'm happy to throw Phlox out an airlock, but, it also may depend on who we want to choose for our supplementary characters, which...
Before you move on, what I find hilarious is that on the wheel of names that you set up, everyone had a red, yellow, or blue background, except Reed. He was the one green one.
Yeah, they really run out of colors in the Wheel of Names pretty quick. Okay, now the other thing we're doing for our enterprise name pool is instead of drawing from the hat, we're going to do it kind of a... Jake, what word did you use for this that was perfect? Like a draft. Do it like a
yeah, it's
draft. Have you explained this on the show yet?
Yeah, no, I will explain it right now.
Explain it on the show now, because I've lost track of what we've already said.
So we've each submitted 8 names to the pool. So there's 32 names, And there's some overlaps, so some people are on the list twice. But what we're going to do is go in order, in the order that we drew, and each of us is going to pick one of the names. We can't pick names from the list that we ourselves submitted, but we can pick any name that are on other lists. So if there's duplicates, we can use those duplicates. Once you pick a name, it is removed from the list. So, but again, only that instance of it. So if a character appears 3 times, then 3 people can potentially choose it. The other thing is we're going to go in the order that we drew. So I think if I'm recalling, that's me, Chris, Caitlin, and Ames.
Correct.
And that's going to be, we're each going to pick one character. So I'll get the first overall draft pick and so on. And then for the second round of the draft, it's going to go in reverse order. So so Ames will get the 5th overall pick, and then Caitlin, Chris, and then me, and I'll get the last pick.
Yeah.
And how many?
Just so Jake also doesn't pick the best ones first.
Yeah, so I don't pick. So yeah, exactly. So I don't pick 2.
And are we doing 3 each or?
We're gonna 2 each.
Okay, couldn't.
Is that right, Ames?
I think 2 makes sense.
Yeah, and remember, you're gonna pick 2 people, and these people will have to appear in your story, as well as one of the main characters that you chose earlier.
So you may also want to be thinking who's going to go with the main characters that I drew the best.
Okay.
Point of order. Time Daddy is Daniels or someone else?
No, Time Daddy is the shadow monster that talks to Archer.
Oh, okay.
And talks to Silik.
Yeah, Silik's boss.
Okay.
Daniels is just a giant piece of shit.
I like that Time Daddy is on here twice.
As Time Daddy, yeah.
Yes, that is his canonical name now.
Yeah, and I actually submitted 10, and the 2, I'm trying to see which ones didn't make my list.
There were ones that were already
okay. So
well
because I had A.G. Robinson and...
Carlos, I didn't include.
Oh, okay,
he was already...
somebody else had Kolos.
Yeah, he's already represented somewhere else.
He's representing Archer. Okay, let's see.
Jake needs to pick a name.
Yeah,
this is
tricky.
This is the hard part because there's so many.
Yeah, and I also have to think about who I'm pairing with, either Hoshi or Mayweather. Let's see.
And Jake can't pick his own section here.
Oh, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, and I can't pick for my own section. Yeah, that's the trick. That's the challenge. So I'm going to pick... Okay, with my first overall pick, I choose Mistral.
Yes! I love Mistral.
Mm.
Just so I make sure I am remembering who this character is, Mistral is from, what's the fucking name?
Carbon Creek.
Carbon Creek, yes. Yes, correct? Yes.
Yes.
He's the one that stays behind.
He stays behind to fuck that woman.
Yes.
And invent, Grandma
T'Pol's grandmother invents...
Velcro, Jesus. But he's named after the guy that invented Velcro, right?
Yes,
sure.
That's true. Yeah, that was the writer's little nod.
Yeah.
Do you want me to physically remove his name from the list, Jake, or...?
I think we can remember that he's not on the list.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we can now, but it's going to get more complicated.
I almost feel like we should save this to share.
Yeah, I can do that.
Just so people can see what we threw down.
So who's next? Chris?
Me.
Chris is next.
I am going to take Jake's Time Daddy.
Ooh, one Time Daddy off the table. God damn it, select the whole box, stupid. There we go. All right, Caitlin.
Feasel.
That's a good one. Oh, and plus she's got Trip and Read. So I think you got a plan in mind here.
Well, no, not yet per se, but I want to give myself options.
This is interesting because I was considering taking a Time Daddy. There is another Time Daddy on the table because he was submitted multiple times. And now because I'm also the last drawing, I get to pick 2 in a row.
You do.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually might be in a better place than most people. Although now I really did want to pick a Time Daddy. So let me see if I still want to pick a Time Daddy, knowing there's only one left.
Man, Caitlin, you're the only one that submitted Shran.
I know, I'm so angry because initially I was like, oh, I'll take Jeffrey Combs' Ferengi character and I'll take Shran. Perfect.
And am I the only one that submitted Sim?
Yeah, you were expecting.
Oh, yeah.
You were expecting
I
like 4
expected a
Sims.
Sim sweep.
I didn't even remember about Sim. It's terrible.
Ooh.
I am shocked that Porthos wasn't considered one of the main cast, frankly.
Well,
He's really not in that many episodes.
If he were, Jake would definitely have ended up with Mayweather and Porthos.
Yes.
I'm going to pick for my first pick. I'm going to pick the repair station that Roxanne Dawson does the voice for.
Okay.
Repair Station Torres. And I need one more. I think. Do I want a Time Daddy or? Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do Eric Sung because I do love the Sungs to death. So I got a Sung, and I got a Repair Station. Yeah, that's the way that's going to go.
Could you take my Eric Sung?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, strategery.
Do you want me to take yours? Because, we do have 2 Sungs on the table.
Well, that way he could still take him.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, go on.
No, I'm playing strategically here.
Wow.
Wait, do you really want me to? I'll do it if you want me to.
I kind of wanted Eric Sung if no one else took him.
I think there's 2 Eric Sungs, and if he wants one, we should let him have one. That's what I think.
Okay, well, first we have to go back to Caitlin.
Let's see if Caitlin picks.
Like, you can also the other Eric Sung. I can't stop
No.
Because it affects whether or not Caitlin or I can pick Eric Sung.
I'm not taking Eric Sung.
Actually, I could pick it either way, but Caitlin couldn't.
I'm, I don't know. Who was my first one was who? Oh, yeah.
Fiesel.
Right. Fiesel. Oh, Tara.
Yes!
Oh, my God.
Oh, you
Susie
have
Plaxton.
Sexy picks here.
Yeah, this is,
You picking Tara?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Wait,
I love her.
And I still get 2 more? Is that true?
No, we're picking 2 total.
Oh, okay, great. Perfect then.
Why won't it let me delete the box?
2 hottest ladies in the show.
Delete box, stupid. Oh my God. Delete box. There we go.
Hey, way to go.
All right, now it comes back around to Chris. Do you actually want an Eric Sung, or is there someone else on the board that you want? Reminders to the people listening at home, Chris's main character options are Hoshi or T'Pol. Hoshi and or T'Pol, and he's already selected a Time Daddy.
You know what? Give me that Zuckerberg-looking fuck Daniels.
Yes!
Whoa.
Do it!
Gonna go all the fucking way with
fun.
time fucking war bullshit.
Was that the only Daniels on the board?
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Great.
so.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't pick him anyway. Because with my final pick of the night, I pick Zephram Cockring.
Yay!
Who technically appears for of 30 seconds.
Yep.
And you know what's kind of nice about that? What's kind of nice is everybody got 2 of their names taken.
That's true, yeah.
That's actually really nice, because I was really lame with my choices, so I've thought, no one's picking any of this crap.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Mestral and Zephram Cochran go together, Jake.
I know. Oh, we're doing the nasty and the pasty. I'm telling you right now.
The nasty and the pasty.
That past nastification saves the Futurama universe.
Gross. So this will be a lot of fun. Y'all can look forward to when we finally write up these fanfics with the names we've just drawn. When we finally wrap Enterprise, which will hopefully be soon. Because, oh boy, Chris, we still got more Enterprise to do.
I know.
I like that you said Chris like it's his fault.
Well, no, because I'm segueing into the conclusion.
Yes. But also, it is sort of my fault. This whole idiot thing was my idea.
Yeah, I know. Actually, after I said that, I was like, wait a minute. We're all of this is his fault.
Yes, yep. I need people to watch Enterprise with. I can trick my friends.
This is a really long con, too, It's like it's going to take 7 years, but eventually...
Yes, it was a really clever ploy to make us watch much better Trek first, Chris.
I mean, I finally, saw all the much better Trek too, so... But next week, we conclude this Vulcan fuckery with Kirshara, and after that, it's a rare Season 4 one-off with Daedalus.
Daedalus? Is that really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep, sadly, it is not about the ship. And then we will be discussing everyone's favorite ensign, Janeway's special little boy, Harry Kim.
Break out your saxophone, Harry Kim. So cool.
Yeah. Join us for that. Follow us on Facebook and SoundCloud and your favorite podcasting application. And am I forgetting anything? Oh, the Tumblr, where, We will have our Tommy Boy things going up, and eventually our fanfics and our past fanfics that you can see.
They're great.
Oh, the past fanfics are great.
They are, so yeah. And the Tumblr is just SSHP Podcast, as many of our things. Join us next week. This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
This has been Caitlin.
And this is usually Jake.